I'm Heather, and I have always loved to travel. So when I got the idea of driving across Canada by myself, I had to make it happen. I spent a year saving and planning for this trip, and on July 2nd, 2022, I headed out from my hometown of New Waterford, Nova Scotia, to drive 6,500 kilometers to Horsefly, British Columbia, and back again. It turns out there's more to see in this beautiful country than just the Trans-Canada Highway, and by the time I returned home 42 days later, I had gone 16,000 kilometers in my Jeep Wrangler, hauling a tent trailer. I had seen some amazing things, and had the definition of a trip of a lifetime. You want to hear me say that things didn't go exactly as planned, but the truth is there was no plan, only a sense of wonder. People ask me what the best part of the trip was, and truthfully, it was simply taking the trip. Come with me now as I share my adventures from coast to coast in this beautiful country that we call Canada. So I just left Thunder Bay in the most roundabout weird way. I actually was going to pull over to make sure that I had punched in the right address for where I'm going, because I was going west toward Thunder Bay, and then I pulled off the highway into Thunder Bay to get gas and run to the grocery store and get a Starbucks, obviously. And I was on this road. Yeah, I pulled off, I went left, and then I turned left again into the grocery store, and then I was going to continue going west, so I should have pulled out of the parking lot and went right and then right to get back on the highway. But instead, it took me 35 kilometers north on the road where the grocery store was, and I somehow landed back on the same highway, and I don't seem to have backpedaled. I'm somehow 35 kilometers farther west than I was. I don't know how that just happened. It literally, I was like, that can't be right. Anyway, Thunder Bay was beautiful, and everything about the sleeping giant made me want to stay longer. And I was very sad that I didn't know more about it. This seems to be the trend, actually. I'm just going through some construction here now. This seems to be the trend. Everywhere I have stayed, it was like throwing darts at a map as I was planning this trip. I was picking campgrounds based on about 4 to 5 hours of driving time between stops. And so it's been great. There's only been 1 or 2 days where it's taken longer, much longer, on top of the additional 2 hours that I very quickly learned is on top of all of the timings for just traffic stops and construction, because there's tons of construction. But the 4 to 5 hour mark seems to be the sweet spot by the time I get up in the morning, get the camper broken down, have breakfast, have a shower, and then get on the road. It's about 10, 11 o'clock, and then I drive for 4 to 5 hours and I land at my next destination before supper. And every single campground I've stayed at so far, which were completely random, none of them were researched whatsoever. Every single one of them, I was like, I could spend another week here. Like, a few places I got to go kayaking, and a few places I went hiking, but just beautiful, beautiful campgrounds, and then nothing for miles and miles. Like, it's so quiet when you sleep, and it's just so nice to be out in the fresh air. But I think Sleeping Giant, when I realized what it was and actually how special it was, I wish I had stayed there longer. And sometimes I'm thinking that as I'm going from place to place, how unfortunate it is that these places are so fucking isolated. Because in my mind, I'm thinking like next summer the trip is just spend the whole summer in Ontario hiking, because there's so much here that I would still want to see. And I loved Thunder Bay. I thought Thunder Bay was industrial. I thought it was, pulp mill. I guess I just didn't even realize what it was, but it was a beautiful little city, and it had everything. And if you were in any store anywhere and you look out into the water, you see just the most amazing mountain ranges, and the lakes are fucking gorgeous, and oh my god, it's just beautiful. Anyway, fun fact about Ontario, I think I'm very north. I actually have no idea. I haven't looked at an actual map to see just how far north I am and what the elevation is here, but during the day it's hot as fuck, and then at night there's no cloud cover all day long. Like, it's blue skies for hundreds of kilometers at a time. And I think what happens is, because there's no cloud cover, none of that heat is getting trapped. I think that's how it works. I mean, I'm not a meteorologist, but at home, when we have hot, muggy days, we usually have hot, muggy nights, because the heat gets trapped with the clouds, I think. And anyway, I think that doesn't happen here. They're just fucking blue skies again today. Hot, 24 degrees, getting hotter by the minute. But it is winter cold at night. What's amazing is I actually thought I was in a different time zone than I was, because it was not getting dark. But then I realized, I probably am quite north from where I think I am, and just not paying attention to how north I am, because in my mind I'm going west, but I'm actually still traveling north. So at night, you're like, it's fucking 10 after 10. I'm tired. I've had a day. You know, you're outside all day and you're exhausted from just breathing fresh air and like living outside essentially. And I want to go to bed, and it's not fucking dark yet. So that's been really interesting. And then as soon as it does get dark, it's cold, like ice cold. Like, I'm wearing layers to bed. I have multiple blankets on, and I am very, very thankful for the electric mattresses that our camper has literally nothing. Like, it is, you know, it's just a box with that turns into a tent, and it's got some electrical outlets, and it's got a fridge that doesn't always stay cold and sometimes breaks open when I'm traveling, but it's got these fucking electric mattresses that are golden. They like totally do the trick. So I was very, very thankful for those. And now I'm sad I'm leaving Sleeping Giant, because I didn't get to do any hiking there. I did a little bit of sort of walking around, exploring in the campground, but I ended up Thursday is my day to work, and so yesterday that's where I was at, and I was in town an hour outside of the campground to get service, and that was basically my whole day. So I didn't get to see Sleeping Giant the way that I thought I would, but like I said, I didn't really know what to expect when I got there, but now that I know what it is, I will put it on my list of places to come back to. And truth be told, all the places throughout Ontario, I would come back to them in a heartbeat. The trouble is how to fucking get here. I think Thunder Bay has an airport, so I think I could fly into Thunder Bay, you know, take Kit and maybe camp, like tent camp or something, but I don't know. Anyway, there was a bear in our campground as well, and I never saw the little bastard. I would have loved to have seen him. Dogs were barking everywhere, and then at night it's so quiet you could hear people like taking a pee. Like, so funny how quiet it is. And I was like, every time I wake up I'd be like, is there a bear at the door? You know, it's so crazy. But when you just want to see wildlife, sometimes you're a little willing to risk it to see it. So all I've seen so far is one white-tailed deer, and I have seen a mama moose and 2 calves, and that's it. That's it. I mean, there's some scary fucking bugs in this part of the country, but other than that, it's been pretty quiet. There hasn't been a lot of wildlife. I'd love to see a bear, but maybe that'll happen in British Columbia, or when I get to Banff, Canmore area, where I'm spending several nights, I think 3 nights, 4 days there. I'm also spending 4 nights, I think 4 days, 3 nights at Riding Mountain National Park. And I cannot remember right now if that is in Manitoba or Saskatchewan. I think it is in Saskatchewan. But anyway, I'm making my way to my friend Kelly's place this weekend, and I'm going to stay there for 2 nights. And then I don't know what's after that. I'm just kind of taking it 2 days at a time right now. But it's really fun when people notice I'm from Nova Scotia. At this point, I'm so far from home. you know, it behooves me to keep going rather than turn around and go home, even if I wanted to go home, and of course I don't. But it's you know, I'm past the sort of 60% mark now, and if I wasn't dragging my heels through the last 4 provinces of the country, I could be there in just a couple of days into British Columbia. But I'm definitely taking my sweet Jesus time, which is good. I'm glad that I'm doing that because I'm getting lots of rest and getting to see some things at least. So that's today's update, and I think I started a thought there and then got distracted, but if I recall what it was, I'll come back to it. All right, talk to you later. Good morning. Today is my last day in Ontario, and I'm heading to Manitoba, into Winnipeg today, and the trailer is just a mess. There's just stuff everywhere. It doesn't take long to get it cleaned up and packed up, but I don't usually shower until the trailer is completely closed and ready to hitch, and then I'll take my stuff and I'll go get cleaned up because it gets pretty sweaty and gross putting everything away. And I just have this thing about like not wanting to ruin my fresh clean clothes for the drive, and I like to be clean on the road even though I'm filthy dirty in a campground. Yesterday was, I think, my favorite day of this trip so far. I went down to the little gatehouse and wanted to rent a kayak, and the young person there said, well, the man who rented the kayaks yesterday didn't bring them back. And I was like, oh, how does that work now, do you think? So anyway, they told me to come back 2 hours later, and sure enough, the kayaks were back. But I spent the whole 2 hours just sitting in the sun and reading, and I think I was pretty sun fucked before I even get on the kayak. But then I get out, look at the tan line on me. That's from my watch. I get out on the kayak, and I had the most spectacular time. I was out there for 2 hours, and I was gonna head in, and I was like, you know what, I rented the fucking thing for like 4 hours for half a day. I should definitely get out there and, you know, make the most of the time I have. And so I turned around and I decided not to come back in, and I ended up at this little island where I saw a bald eagle come in and land on the top of a tree, and then I saw another bald eagle come in and land on the top of another tree. And so I just sat there mesmerized for at least 30 minutes, just snapping pictures, taking videos, and just, they literally sat on the top of those trees for half an hour. It was amazing. And then just as I was like, okay, I'm cooking out here, it was 31 degrees, I think. Just as I decided I'm going to turn and head back, they both flew away. So it was really magical that I got to see them the whole time that they were there. So now I'm just having some oatmeal, simple. I don't tend to cook anything on travel days. And then I'm going to head into town, grab a coffee. It took 30 minutes yesterday. No, that's probably an exaggeration. Probably more like 25 minutes to get a coffee at Starbucks. But I felt really bad actually, because the young person making the coffee walked in, started their shift, and was like, oh, I really don't want to be here. And I was like, oh, don't say that out loud. People can fucking hear you. But anyway, then they didn't have the top for the box that I wanted, or for the cup that I wanted. So she put a different top on it. And I was like, I can't drink my coffee with this giant hole in the top. It was like a cup for, you know, if you're going to have whipped cream on your coffee. And they were like, well, were those a straw? I was like, I'm not drinking this with a straw. Anyway, I took it. And I got to the car and I was like, fuck. And then I looked and I realized I had an empty cup from earlier in the week. It's so gross and unsanitary, but I took the top off the old coffee from Starbucks and put it on my new coffee. It's probably fine. I'm sure it's fine. And anyway, then I took a sip and it was the best goddamn coffee I've ever had. After waiting 25 minutes and being real snarly to the person who made it, I felt really bad. I was like, actually, they might not want to be there, but they did a really fantastic job of making that coffee. So I enjoyed that. And yeah, so now I'm heading into Winnipeg. I'm going to see a friend of mine in Winnipeg who invited me to stay with them, and I'm excited about that. I was in Winnipeg once, I'm gonna say in 2003. I was chatting with my husband about it last night, actually. I thought maybe we weren't together then, but he told me we were, and he seems to think he was away doing something else at the time, and that's why he wasn't on that trip. And anyway, the only thing I remember about Winnipeg was they had an Olive Garden, and I really liked it, and I had a lot of beer that night, so I'll be excited to go back and see it as an actual adult with, you know, a car and money to spend and things to see and do, and I'll be excited to see my friend Kelly. So that's it for now. I'm going to eat my oatmeal and get packing up. I think I got about a 5-hour drive, so it's going to be another hot one today. I think it's going up to 31, but then it's going to rain tonight, so I think the heat will break a little bit, except I won't be here, so it doesn't matter. All right, see you later. I'm in the last 4 kilometers of Ontario, crossing over into Manitoba. I think there's construction, so I don't know if it's going to happen in the next 3 minutes or the next 30. The construction sometimes really slows you down. There's a ton of traffic on the road, as I would expect on a hot Sunday. Everybody's got boats attached to their trucks, so I mean, there's lakes everywhere here. You could just pick a spot blind on the map and find a boat launch. And yeah, I'm excited about saying goodbye to Ontario. I think my favorite part has been that I have tried to go through it intentionally, not just blow through it like everyone else does, and you know, try to see some things and get to know some of the little towns and some of the cities, and just, yeah, everyone said it was going to take forever to get through, and so I said, well, I'll just fucking take forever to get through it then. And I think today is day 10 or 11 of being in Ontario, and I'm about to cross over into Manitoba. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm not sure sure how exciting this is going to be to cross over into Manitoba. There's so much construction. Oh, there's the sign. Manitoba. Welcomes me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And finally some 2-lane highways with 100 speed limit. Oh my God. Amazing.